President Donald Trump's Labor Secretary Lori Chavez-DeRemer believes that Americans can't wait to jump at the chance to work long hours in the fields. Appearing on Wednesday's edition of Fox News, she said this.
What happened to the threat from the left that American citizens won't do the jobs that illegal immigrants are willing to do? Because when I look at these numbers, I think, nope, the American citizen is willing to do those jobs.
Well, we see it in the numbers. Americans are willing to do the job. That's what we're out there to do. What we have to give them is the opportunity to have those jobs, that they can be skilled, upskilled, reskilled. We're moving around the country. 1 million new apprentices is my goal for the president. We are well on our way. We've increased that by over 170,000+ new apprentices since he took office, and we'll continue and we'll reach that 1 million goal for the American businesses so they have the workforce that they need.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's not the fact that Americans don't want to do the jobs. It's just they haven't had the opportunity to do the jobs. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a load of crap. No, the reality is Americans aren't going to do this labor because those working conditions and pay are awful. They're terrible. And so, yes, they're not going to want to do those jobs. And not only that, but look, let me give you an example here, okay? So now there's a potato farmer named Andrew who talked to WBUR, okay? Now, he said, look, for most of the year, we don't really hire a whole lot of people, okay? We got a few people out there, but, when the fall harvest comes around, we do hire about 170 temporary workers, okay? In fact, he says this, quote, "We have 3 weeks where we give it everything. We've got 6 days a week, 12+ hours a day. That's our window. And if we don't get it done, the frost, the snow, the blizzards, you name it, we could end up losing those crops." And so there you go. Andrew says that, look, I've even offered a base pay of nearly $17 an hour, which is about $10 more than Idaho's minimum wage. Even with that, he does not really get a whole lot of responses. Quote, "We're not getting people just showing up." So he's got a major staffing issue. And of course, the people that were willing to work there were the undocumented migrants. Now, here's the thing, okay? Most undocumented migrants that work in the agricultural sector have been known to live in bug-infested shacks as they work long hours on the farms for little pay. And of course, that doesn't even last the entire year. With that, is there any wonder why 40% of farm laborers in this country are undocumented? I'm not surprised, and you shouldn't be surprised either. That said, don't worry. Don't worry. The regime, they have a plan.
There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Ah, yes, of course. Get them Medicaid recipients. Send them out into the fields. Yeah, that'll work. Oh, of course. Yeah, that'll work. Except it won't. Except it won't. This has already been tried. Now, look, there's a little bit of a history lesson here, okay? Back in the 1940s, we had something called Operation Bracero. So basically, the United States government and the Mexican government, they had a deal, right, to recruit hundreds of thousands of Mexican laborers to come work the farms during the war. I mean, the farm labor was needed. It was necessary. And so they're like, just, send them over. Send them over. We need people to work the fields. Now, that agreement ended in 1964. So all those laborers from Mexico ended up returning back to their homes. But with those workers gone, the farmers needed the labor. They didn't have the labor force anymore. And so you had, once again, the same situation that we're facing today. You've got crops rotting in the fields. Okay, so what did they do? Well, they had a plan. So what they tried to do is they came up with Project A-Team. And not that A-Team, by the way. What they were trying to do is recruit 20,000 high school students to come and do the farm labor. So A-Team, of course, stands for Athletes in Temporary Employment as Agricultural Manpower. Okay? Specifically, they're like, we want the athletic kids to do it. They'll do it. Of course. How did that go? Not well. It went very badly, in fact. Of the 18,100 teens who signed up for this program, about 3,300 ended up actually picking any crops. So the vast majority of people that signed up didn't even pick the crops. In fact, in California's Salinas Valley, about 200 teenagers from New Mexico, Kansas, and Wyoming quit after just 2 weeks on the job. In fact, the Associated Press quoted one at the time, one of these teenagers, as saying, quote, "We worked 3 days and all of us are broke." Showing how little the pay is. Elsewhere, students staged strikes over their horrific working conditions. At the end of the day, A-Team was considered to be a gigantic failure and was never tried again until now, of course. Yes, that's right. That's the direction that we're going. First, we're got to get the Medicaid people, the people on Medicaid to go and work the fields. We'll see how that goes. And then it'll be child labor. Yeah. According to Lori A. Flores, a professor who wrote a book in 2016 titled, this award-winning book, Grounds for Dreaming, Mexican Americans, Mexican Immigrants, and the California Farm Worker Movement. Here's what she said about A-Team. These high school students had the words and the whiteness to say what they were feeling and could act out in a way that Mexican Americans, who have been living this way for decades, simply didn't have the power or space for the American public to listen to them. The students dropped out because conditions were so atrocious, and the growers weren't able to mask that up. She says A-Team revealed a very important reality. Quote, "It's not about work ethic for undocumented workers. It's about the fact that this labor is not meant to be done under such bad conditions and bad wages." And there it is. That's the reality. And I can back that up. I've done this work. I spent part of my childhood working on a farm, my grandfather's farm specifically, and we had a dairy farm next door that I also did work for. Then I picked strawberries as a teenager. It's not good work. It's terrible work. It's hard. And I can guarantee you that none of the idiots in the Trump regime that are, trying to push for these policies have worked in the fields or have even worked a fraction as hard as these migrants do. In fact, one of the men who signed up and worked the fields for the A-Team project had told NPR, quote, "There's nothing you can say to us that migrant laborers are rapists or that they're lazy. We know the work they do, and they do it all their lives, not just one summer for a couple of months, and they raise their families on it. Anyone ever talks bad on them, I always think, keep talking, buddy, because I know what the real deal is." And again, that's from someone who worked there, who did this work, and can actually stand up and talk and speak on the experience of doing so. So look, the administration, the regime's idea that we're all going to get, it's the Medicaid recipients, they're going to get out into the fields, and that Americans, we just can't wait to go into the fields. We're yearning for them. Oh yes, the children are yearning for the mines, except for the fields, right? Pure fantasy. Pure fantasy. It's not going to happen. It's not reality. And MAGA, once again, living in a completely fictional world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.